everybody. It's 3 p.m. and it's time for Breaking Bread with Nanny Bubby. I'm Nanny Bubby and this is my kitchen and I welcome you today. Hey, here's the question. Who doesn't love collard greens? Raise your hand. Well, you're right. I am raising my hand because years ago, just actually 2 years ago, up until 2 years ago, I had never eaten collard greens, at least that I knew of, and I had no interest in them either. But my client, Don Hamrick from Chapman Automotive, our sponsor of the TV cooking segment, was from Georgia, but his family was also from Morocco. So I had him on as a guest, and I thought I would do two things. Number one, I would cook Moroccan chicken to bring in his heritage of Morocco. I think he was even born, both him and his brothers were all born in Morocco, and they moved to Georgia slightly after the birth of the youngest boy. There's three of them. And then because he was from the South and he still has a Southern accent, a Georgia accent, as opposed to a French Moroccan accent, I wanted to do collard greens for him. So I had some unintended circumstances take place in the making of the collard greens for TV, and those unintended consequences led to probably the best collard greens I've ever had in my life. And they are included in the recipe for the collard greens. So if you want to find that recipe, go to nannybubby.com, go up in the top toolbar where it says cook, and go from cook down to sides, and the collard greens are about a third of the way down on the screen that you find. So nannybubby.com/cook, and then go down to sides. Or maybe it's nannybubby.com/sides. I don't know, but you'll find it. I just don't spend that much time on there except for uploading things. I don't really search, but I do search my own recipes, funny enough. So, okay, so here's the deal. Let's start with this. The first thing I want to show you is how I cut the collard greens, and then as we get a little deeper into this, I will tell you exactly the unintended consequences. But before I do that, my phone was plugged in over here because I only have 37% battery left. So let me see who's joined us. Everybody should have found me by now. Their alerts went off and everybody's here. So let me just come over here, unplug. There we go. And let's see who's here, and then we will cut up the collard greens. So there we go. Okay. Let's see who's here. Oh, lots of people. Okay. Sometimes I can see it and sometimes I can't. There we go. Judy Woods is here. Hey, Judy, how are you? Frankie's here. Love it, Frankie. Your alert's going off. I love it when you come now. I missed you before. I thought you were mad at me. So I'm happy you're here. Judy's here. All the tried and trues who we were all together for so many months together during COVID, and then life got busy again. But when it comes right down to it for me, I love being here with all of you guys so much that now that my kitchen is done, it's like I never left. So I'm so happy. It's just brighter and happier, and believe me, so am I. Okay, so let's do this. Here is, let me do a tight shot here. Let me show you that these are the collard greens, and what I've done is that this is like 1/2 of the collard green, and I've taken out the rib. So as an example, this might have been on the other side. So they become 2 halves of a very large collard green leaf. And once I take out all the spines, then I'm going to take these and stack them like this, just on top of each other, as though I am working in Cuba at a cigar factory. And I'm just going to take all of these and lay them on top. And I always try to get the biggest one at the bottom. So I think I've still continued to do that. There we go. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to roll it just like I'm rolling a cigar. So we're just going to roll it up. And by the way, I do the same thing for cutting up basil to put in soups or to put in pasta sauces. I use the largest basil leaf first, stack all the other ones on top, and then I go in and I just slice it, about 1/4 inch. And I also do this for my kale salad. And what that does, Frank's not mad at me. Thank you, Frank. I love you for that. And what this does is it makes them nice and tender once you get them into the sauté sauce, so, which is really just butter and olive oil. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. So there you go. And then just for good measure, just because these are nice and long and you can see they're circular, I'm just going to cut them in half from here, like this. There we go. And that just breaks them up a little bit more. So there you have it. I did a whole bowl before you got here. There's the bowl, and I'm just going to take this and just put this all in here, which looks like a lot of collard greens. The thing that I love about collard greens is that unlike chard and even spinach or some of the other leafy greens, those compress down to so little. It's like you have so little left once the heat gets to it, especially spinach. You could put in 2 big heaping lumps of spinach. You could put 3 or 4 or 5 heads in, and you know, swirl it around and saute it a little bit, and then at the end of the day, it's like you've got a quarter of a cup from all of that. But collard greens, that's not the case. So let's turn to the other camera, and I'll meet you on the other side, and I'm going to talk to you about how I sauteed it and exactly what I did. I'm going to take this camera with me. So hold on, here we go. Let me grab this, and here we go. Meet you over here. Hi, there you are. I'm going to plug this back in so that I can see everybody if they come over here. And Frank is here, Judy Woods is here, all the tried and trues and the regulars. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's bring that up just a little bit. Okay, can you guys see me? Okay, so this is what I want to show you. Let me put this over here and out of the way. Before you got here, I took 1 tablespoon of butter and 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Now, I just want to say this about olive oil. You will be hard-pressed to find olive oil that is not extra virgin olive oil. And what I want to tell you about that is that extra virgin olive oil is really for finishing. It's not for cooking. And this is from Temecula Olive Oil Company, which, as you know, is a brand that I adore. And this is not extra virgin. It's just regular olive oil, which I find to be very, very great. So I put a tablespoon of the olive oil and a tablespoon of the butter because, you know, everything is better with butter. We don't use canola oil. You want to take your canola oil and put it in the landfill and be done with it. I don't know. I don't know how we get rid of it. But can I tell you, as bad as it is for the earth is as bad as it is for your body. So if you have to make a choice, butter is better. I love that. Okay. All right. So here we go. We're going to turn on the heat again because I didn't want to bore you with sauteing down the onions. I put salt and pepper on here. And we're going to heat this back up, and then I'm going to put the collard greens in and add a little bit of olive oil if I need to. What I want to show you, I love this part of my kitchen. You're going to have to take this camera right here. And just like I did with the mixer yesterday or Friday, I just want to show you for a minute if you can see it. Can you see? There we go. This is my spice drawer. Isn't that fabulous how this came out? Isn't that great? I'm going to reach in and grab the red. It's alphabetized, so why can't I see red? Okay, red pepper. Can you see that? There we go. There's the red pepper. And we're going to put this right back in here. Get myself back in the shot. Hold on. Sorry about the hand in the way there. Chief bottle washer and cook here. So what do you think of that spice drawer, you guys? Hey, Ellen, there you are. How are you, Ellen? Nice to see you. Thanks for coming. Laura Grau is here. Hey, Laura. I really love that all of you have come to join me not only here on cooking, but also, thanks, Judy, about the spice drawer. But I also love that you are all a part of Long Life Era, and you really have to tell me what you think of all the conversation that's going there. I just think it has been so eye-opening. It's warmed my heart. And I also want to promote that Mary Miel, I call her Miel, and I feel like maybe she's actually Mealy, but I don't know. I actually have to ask her how to say her last name. Love this woman. I don't even know how to pronounce her last name. But she is doing an interview with me at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. and it's called The Intersection of the Eras. So Mary is in her mid-40s. She's got about 15 to 20 years before she gets to long life era, depending on where we count that from. And she's going to do an interview with me about, I don't know exactly, she's going to look at some of the comments that take place this week, and she's going to make a conversation around some of the comments that you all have made. And then she's going to ask me questions about feelings and anxiety and different things. I'm just not sure. So yeah, Judy says the conversation is inspiring and love your post on if not now, when. Yeah, burn your bra and burn your apron kind of messed us up as a generation. But it really messed up our daughters and our sons because they did not have an opportunity to experience intergenerational cooking. And I really do believe that that has been a problem for now our grandchildren who are not getting the nutritional level that they really need to help their brains grow correctly and their bodies. So I'm just really, really hoping to make a difference in all of that and create intergenerational cooking again so that everybody is connected to the beauty of food and breaking bread together. So, okay, I just got an alert that I'm live on Facebook. Isn't that hilarious when you get your own alert? Okay, so here we go. Here are the collard greens, and I'm just going to layer them in. And if this pot gets a little bit too full, I am going to just let them saute, maybe put the top on and let it saute down. I can smell that garlic. The garlic is amazing. Put this right here. Laura says she loves that. And okay, here we go. So I mean, I just have this idea that I woke up with this morning, and I suppose I should share it with you guys. You know, there's part of me that's almost like, is this a crazy idea, Marla? Like, will people think you're, like, gone crazy? I don't know. But I love speaking, and I love speaking in front of an audience, and I really do feel that the Long Life era has given me a great passion for love and life, and it's created such great conversation in the group. And I feel like so many who are living now in their long life era really want to talk about it, and they want to be role models for each other for living, not for being like placed in the corner, or like senior citizen just sounds like an end game, as opposed to living in your long life era and whatever that is for you. And so I am thinking about speaking in Henderson. So if anybody has a good idea of where that could happen, how it could happen, anybody has a place where we could invite people to come and have a conversation, emceed by me, and have just a really good time, either in Henderson or in Summerlin, either place, let me know, because I believe I really, really want to make that happen. And Ellen, I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you for coming. I know that you got a text from me, and thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. So if you notice, the collard greens sauteed down, and I'm going to put the top on just because you guys are here, because I want to show you a couple things. Number one, the key to the collard greens are chicken broth. So I'm going to walk over here to just show you a little something. So here I am. So I want to tell you that I want you to watch this. So frequently I am always making chicken broth, and there you can see that this is my freezer that you're looking at, and that's 5 quarts of chicken soup that is frozen, chicken broth soup, whatever you call it, and this is 5 quarts of beef broth that are there in my freezer. And so I really struggle, because when it comes to things like vegetables and what to do and adding a broth to vegetables, I think to myself, do I want to waste? And I do mean waste, because my chicken soup or my chicken broth takes almost 2 to 3 days to make, because I cook it for 24 to 36 hours. Then I have to let it cool for almost 12 hours. Then I have to strain it. Then I put it into the refrigerator, and then the next morning I skim the fat off the top. And so I think to myself, do I want to defrost a quart of my chicken bone broth, which is like gold in this house, and I keep it for if someone gets sick, or for cooking my meats in, if a recipe calls for broth. And then I think, oh no, I don't want to waste it. So what I do is I use this Imagine free-range chicken broth or vegetable broth to work with things like the, what am I making? Collard greens. So that's sort of a dilemma. How do you guys do it? What do you guys think? What do you think about using, all that broth that you've made on your own? It's frozen. You kind of keep it for special occasions. Like if we're having a Friday night dinner, I'll say, I'm going to make chicken soup tonight. And I don't have to go through the process of getting a chicken and cooking a chicken. I just take the broth out, get a chicken breast or two, put that in and cook it with the vegetables, etc. So in this recipe, I didn't think I had any chicken broth in the house, and I didn't want to go to the grocery, so I literally took chicken broth out of the freezer and set it on the counter, and then I thought, gosh, I really think it's in there. And so I went back in and looked, and sure enough, I just had one package of this broth, which I love. So anyway, there's that. So I'm waiting for you guys to chime in and just tell me what you think. I'm not sure if you will or not, but so here we go. So if you can see this, let's see, Judy said, I always use the best broth in the store, like the one you held up. Okay, well, that makes me feel less guilty. But, worst case, at least I wouldn't have had to go out of the house today because I would have had it in the freezer, which is A-okay, right? I'm going to turn up this fire just a little bit because I want these collard greens to cook down just a little more. And here is the unintended circumstance that created this genius recipe that I now claim, and which is on my website, again, nannybubby.com/go to cook and then go to sides. So it's up in the toolbar. The top toolbar is cook. But here's what happened. So I was making collard greens for, as I said, my client to serve on TV. And I had to cook these down prior to me getting to the station because it's a 3.5-minute segment, and there is no way that I would be able to do all this for the collard greens. So we showed the Moroccan chicken, but the collard greens were just an added side. And so what I did is I completely cooked them just like I am now. And we took the chicken broth, let's see, and here's the recipe. It's called vegetarian collard greens. And it actually calls for vegetable stock, but as you know, all I had was chicken stock. And we're going to put in 1.5 cups of vegetable stock. And let's see, where do we find this? Nannybubby.com, yeah, sides, I think, /sides. That'll get you there. Anyway, okay, 1.5 cups of chicken broth or vegetarian vegetable broth. And I put it in, and I brought it to a boil. And I let it saute for, not saute, but I let it simmer for about 20 minutes, which is exactly what this recipe calls for. It says to add the vegetable stock, cover, and bring to a simmer until the greens are tender, about 30 minutes. The key to this recipe is cool it, bring to about room temperature, which takes about 20 minutes, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Now, the unintended circumstance was that when I got to Channel 8 that afternoon, after this whole thing had been cooked, I had to reheat them to make them hot for Dawn to taste test. And this is what I found. Collard greens are usually very, very tough and can have a bitterness. But because they were cooked and then cooled and then cooked again, that made them unbelievable. And unlike spinach or chard or even kale, collard greens actually take in the liquid, and it causes them to rehydrate and actually get bigger and more substantive than actually before you simmer them. So I'm going to turn down this fire, and I'm going to let these simmer. And that's it. So that's it for the collard greens, except this. I'm going to show you this amazing, I'm actually going to use this bowl right here. Let's see if I can, well, I'll come over here and do it. There I am. Okay. Okay, hold on, stand by. So I just want to show you something. At the end of that, I'm going to add maybe 1/4 cup of broth once I reheat it. So dinner is not going to be till 5:30 or 6. So this will have plenty of time to cool and absorb all the liquids and get nice and puffed up. And then right about, 15, 20 minutes, sorry, my little nose itched, before we actually eat, I'm going to simmer them. And then to finish them, I'm going to do this. This is my favorite kitchen tool. Are you ready? Here we go. I'm going to finish it with tomatoes and some roasted red peppers that I roasted on Friday night, which I couldn't even believe that's what I was doing. I was grilling skirt steak, I think, and I saw these red peppers and I thought, gee, I'm going to grill these red peppers and get them nice and charred and brown. Okay, do you see that? They're all loaded in here, okay? Now, I could spend a half hour slicing cherry tomatoes, but instead, there you go. Can you guys see that? Let me move this out of the way. Let's see, can you see it? Look at that, there they are, all in half. There you go, one more time. Let's do this, let's load them up one more time. Let's see if you can see that. There we go, okay. And I'm going to put all the colors in just so that the collard greens have a great color when I finish them. I'll take pictures tonight and let you see it. And I think I'm going to chop up the roasted red peppers too and just finish them off with that. Nothing is more beautiful than red and green when it comes to vegetables. Okay, ready? Okay. Don't you love that kitchen tool? You can find this on nannybubby.com/game-changers. That's the easiest way to find it. I hope the link still works. And so there you have it. There are these fabulous cherry tomatoes cut in half. Don't you love it? Isn't that fabulous? And I think I'm going to do one more. And it's okay that they sit for a while in the bowl. You know, oftentimes the last thing I do is slice the tomatoes because they get kind of watery and runny, but adding the juices that are just in this bowl, that it's just sort of marinating in its own juices. I'm going to add a little salt and a little pepper to these, and I'm going to add a little bit of oregano from outside Nanny Bubby's garden. And I'll take a picture tonight and show you how I finished it. So one more slice just so you can see it and fall in love with my tomato slicer, because everybody loves a tomato slicer. Ready? There we go. That is it. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for coming today. I can't see who's here anymore because you're all behind me at this point. But I just want to remind you, if you like the Happy Kitchen, you can see nannybubby.com/Happy Kitchen. It's a ebook that tells you all about what you should have in your home for a spice cabinet, for your pantry, and for your refrigerator. If you know anybody moving into a new home at any time, it's a great little pocket gift to give them. Once you download it, you can share it as well, so they don't have to go and buy it. You can just share the ebook with them via a text or email. And this is the front cover, the Happy Kitchen, and you can see the spice cabinet, happy fridge, everything else. And it's really, I put a lot of my heart and soul into it. It is really a wonderful piece. I never expected it to be 3 long, but it is. And then also our shop is open, so apron that says spread love like butter, fabulous silicone spatula that you can get into the dishwasher, and the affirmation cards, which if you either love them or hate them. You either love them or you can't figure them out and wonder what the hell that is and why I did it. So they're there. If you get it, you get it. And if you don't, you don't. And that's it for me today. Love you to pieces. Thank you all for joining me. Pop into Long Life Era. Make your comments. I loved all your positive words today that got posted. Frank, I don't even know if you're in Long Life Era, but if you're not, you need to get there. And let's hear some conversation from Frankie. Let's see, Laura is there, Judy is there, Ellen may not be there, but Ellen probably will go there now. And invite some friends. Please invite your friends to Long Life Era, especially for the first live we've ever done on Friday. I would love for everybody to be there. So that's it for me. Should we take one more look at the collard greens before I blow you a kiss and say spread love love like butter. Let's see. There we go. Let's see how this is looking. There we go. Look at that. So there's just a light saute going on. There we go. That's beautiful. And they're really rehydrating. They actually puff up. They get bigger and heartier, unlike, as I said, spinach and everything else. So let's see, is this hot? Yes, it is hot, but there we go. Isn't that beautiful? You can imagine what that's going to look like with the roasted red peppers and the tomatoes. And I'm just going to show you right here. Let me stand by here. These are the roasted red peppers that I made on Friday night. I'll give you a tight shot on that. Do you see that? Isn't that fabulous? There we go. So I'm just going to slice these up. They've been marinating in the olive oil and garlic. They're just absolutely so flavorful and delicious. And that's it. And I'm making halibut tonight, roasted halibut. So that's it. Love you to pieces. Thank you for joining me on Breaking Bread with Nanny, Nanny, Bubby. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Go out and spread love like butter. Thank you, everybody. Bye.